Hey guys, Tomboy61, and today we have our review of the Strasbourg. Better late than never. Sorry about the delay on this one, but we do finally have the review coming out, and let me tell you, I've enjoyed the ship. It's not the greatest battleship out there, but it does provide some pretty good fun. As always with these reviews, we're going to go over the commander, the modules, the stats, and then just kind of talk over and show off some games in it. So if that sounds good, make sure you stay tuned. Also, guys, tomorrow is patch notes day, and let me tell you, haven't seen them. Is going to be good. So make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Maybe ring the little bell so that you get all of the notifications when they do come along. Anyways, Strasbourg, let's go ahead and just dive on in. First things first, let's go ahead and talk through the commander. We're using Azure Lane Dunkerque. Of course, Dunkerque, that tier 5 battleship, well, it's actually the sister ship to the Strasbourg. They're one of two ships. Our setup is going to be running Scharnhorst and Andrew Cunningham as inspirations. Then we're running Flammable Cannoneer, Frontal Fire, Megalomania, Master Mechanic, and Fight Fire with Fire. I think the key skill right here is Frontal Fire. Of course, being able, when you have it all the way upgraded, you have the ability to switch out your shell types pretty much instantly. It's about a 1 second flip over, which makes it so that you're always firing the right shell, which you don't think is a huge deal until you realize just how useful that is, because you're able just to flip over and be like, oh, that guy's broadside flip to AP. Oh, I'm fighting a bow-in battleship. Okay, let's flip over to HE. Like, being able to flip back and forth is absolutely wonderful, and is kind of the key to this whole deal, which is one of the things that makes this ship kind of unique. Modules, well, in the first mod slot, we're going to be running Aiming System Mod 1. You could probably also get away with Armament Durability, especially because those turrets will be taking quite a couple of hits, given how frontal they are, and how you may actually want to use them to take hits, because they do have the thickest armor on your ship. Next, we're running Propulsion Mod 2. Ship is surprisingly maneuverable, but with these front-end battleships, the ones that you kind of want to get wedged in, I do like running the prop mod just to help with getting started and going, especially it helps with dodging those torpedoes. Finally, in slot 3, the only thing we can do is that RGA module. Sadly, there's nothing else we can put in that slot. Consumables, this is where this ship gets to stand out against its younger sister, its other sister ship. Of course, Damage Control Party is going to be the first one. It's going to last for 15 seconds. It's going to reload after 80 seconds. Repair Party is the next one. Relatively weak as far as amount of HP that is recovered, 295 per second. It's going to last 28 seconds with a reload time of 75.2 seconds. And you're going to get 4 charges of it, which is definitely nice. Then you have your next selection, Catapult Fighter, Spotter Plane, or Enhanced Secondary. I went with Catapult Fighter, and that is because the AA on this ship is absolute garbage. It is bad. If you're in a carrier, Strasbourg, go ahead and target it, because it has some of the worst AA for a battleship, I think. It is real bad, so you need the Catapult Fighter to at least pull and help out with being able to fend off those attacking aircraft. And finally, the main thing, what I come to love about this ship, is that main battery reload booster. You get 2 of them. It's going to basically increase or decrease the reload time of your main batteries by 50%. It's going to last 15 seconds. It's going to reload after 180 seconds. And because of that duration with the firing rate, you can kind of get like a salvo and a half off with this. We'll talk about that later, but it does absolutely help out with getting more salvos out the door, and it's super useful. So let's go ahead and start diving on into the stats. Hit points 55,680 with an armor thickness between 16 and 360 meters. Let's go ahead and take a look at that armor view now. Main thing you're going to notice is the ship is coated in 26 millimeters of armor, which you may be like, hey, wait a minute, that's better than most of the tier 6 battleships, and you'd be correct, but it's only by 1 millimeter, so you still kind of have those inherent issues that you get with other tier 6 battleships, where it can be overmatched by a lot of things that you're seeing out on the high seas. Citadel, fairly well concealed. You can see it doesn't go the full width of the ship. It's kind of centrally located, but if you show broadside in this, you will get hurt. I think in the beginning of the match that I'm talking over right now, you saw we got slapped for being broadside as we were trying to maneuver. So that is something you do kind of have to take care of. And last bit about the armor is going to be that torpedo reduction at 25%. Main battery, well, star of the show is those two 4-barreled 330mm cannons. So not the biggest guns, but they are very effective at knocking out cruisers and dealing damage to broadside battleships. That's kind of your bread and butter. Firing range on them, 17.7 kilometers with a reload time of 22.8 seconds. That gives you a shells per minute of 21. 180 time on those guns, 36 seconds. And HE damage is going to be 4,560, giving you a DPM of 95,760. Chance of fire, kind of low for a battleship at only 35%. Sometimes RNG works in your favor with that fire chance, though, and you get a double fire. But most of the time, it's kind of low for the battleships. AP damage 9,215, giving you a DPM of 193,515. Secondaries, well, you have two 2-barreled and three 4-barreled 130mm cannons with a firing range of 5.2 kilometers and a reload of 5 seconds. Damage on those, 1,900 with a 9% chance to set fire. The ship does not have torpedoes, so we don't have torpedo stats to go over with you. Next is the AA, and this is where it gets a little rough. 5.2 kilometers, which is all well and good. Minimum damage that you're going to be doing, 54. Max, only 103. So really not a lot of AA protection being provided by the ship. You do absolutely kind of want to stick with your partners, with your teammates when you're in the ship and there's a carrier about, because it will hunt you down and it will not go well for you. Next, we're moving into maneuverability, and let me tell you, this is one of the bright spots of Strasbourg. I'm going to go ahead and put up some footage. Just imagine some Benny Hill behind it as we spend an entire game dodging torpedoes and keeping a destroyer kind of distracted as he tries to torp us, because the maneuverability on the ship is absolutely fantastic. Max speed of the vessel, 30.9 knots with a turning radius of 730 meters, which is very, very good for a battleship. Rudder shift time, 10.9 seconds. Concealment, 14.2 kilometers with a detectability by air of 11.9 and a detectability when firing in smoke of 12.1 kilometers. And those are all of the stats. As far as history of the Strasbourg, well, it was designed and built as kind of an anti-commerce raider of Germany, i.e. kind of a way to counter Graf Spee and the whole strategy of the Germans of kind of, sink the merchant vessels. It's designed to be a somewhat quick battleship that could really kill cruisers, and it does that very well in this game. So with all that said, let's go ahead and dive on into a match, and we'll go ahead and kind of give my opinions on Strasbourg. So, Strasbourg, I have to say, not the greatest battleship out there, but definitely one of the most fun, or at least one that I've been enjoying more than its stats should say. It, with its stats, 330mm guns, you would be like, oh no, that's real low. I'm not going to enjoy tier 7 in matches with only 330mm guns, and you're slightly right there. Being tiered up in Strasbourg, it hurts sometimes, especially because once you're up in those upper tiers, everything will overmatch your armor. There isn't really any way to defend yourself. You can kind of slightly angle because your belt armor is a bit thicker. So if you can get the hits to come in on your side at just the right angle, you're able to defend. But that's a whole other can of worms that we can't really get into. Also, with the main battery, well, it's a French main battery, and well, that means like right there with that Pensacola, where really we should have had him dead to rights. It turns out we do have a French shotgun on our hands, and dispersion is all over the place. So that is one other thing you kind of have to keep in mind with the Strasbourg. But with all of that said, I was still having a great fun with the Strasbourg. Maybe it's just because Strasbourg is the only French battleship I have with a main battery reload booster. I don't have a Jean Bart because I didn't understand how campaigns worked when that campaign was around. So having a main battery reload boosting abilitied French battleship, this might just be me having rose-tinted glasses in the way of I'm like, oh, I finally have my own little mini Jean Bart. But the problem with that is Jean Bart and Strasbourg play absolutely differently, and that's kind of what you have to think about. You initially you're seeing it and you're like, oh, cool, main battery reload boosted front kind of aiming frontal biased cannons battleship. It has to be just like a Jean Bart, but because of the armor scheme, it isn't quite a Jean Bart. It just doesn't hold up to it, where the Jean Bart can kind of dig itself in to a lane and hold down a lane. Strasbourg, because of its armor, does have to maneuver around, and that does work to its advantages, because the maneuverability of this vessel is absolutely fantastic. It is probably the highlight of this ship, is the maneuverability you get from this battleship. It is surprising. The firing angles are excellent right now. We're using kind of the frontal armor to bounce the shells off from this California, because of the size of the guns on the California is one of the few ones that we will be able to kind of defend against. But even if you kind of have to get yourself in a kiting position with this battleship, the rear-facing fire angles on these guns is absolutely fantastic, and that's one of the things I've just kind of come to really enjoy about this ship, is its maneuverability. And I really do think that is the highlight of this ship. That is kind of the reason you go out and play it, is because you're enjoying a maneuverable battleship that really has that kind of unique perspective. As far as its other letdowns, we were talking about its AA. Carriers can absolutely dunk on you. It is disgusting, and it's scary, because you're like, oh, I'll be fine. I'm kind of designed to get dug in. No, just because of how low your AA is, this ship is just completely vulnerable to any sort of air attack, and is something that you need to be kind of aware of, because if you're not, ships or aircraft will absolutely destroy you. There have been multiple times where it was early game and luck of the draw, where the carrier was on my side of the map and he came straight for me, and I can throw a fighter plane up. That's only going to knock down 1-2 of the planes. You know, it's not going to do a ton. It does help. So you just kind of have to sit there and take it, and the Strasbourg can't really take it very much. But you know, that's kind of the price you pay, I guess. It's balancing factor. But yeah, so that's my kind of opinion on the Strasbourg. Really fun, lots of fun to play. It should not be your go-to tier 6 battleship. It is not a Jean Bart in hiding, but it has a certain thing about it that makes it just a ton of fun to play, and I absolutely recommend, if you have the ability to pick it up and you don't mind spending the ridiculous cost of what it costs to pick up some premium ships in this game. If you're in the market for another tier 6 battleship that, like, you already have things like Nelson in your arsenal, and you're just like, I need something different, Strasbourg definitely provides a different play style. Like I said, the main battery reload booster is what makes it for me. if I had to choose between Strasbourg and Dunkirk, I absolutely would go with Strasbourg. Dunkirk can be rough sometimes, and trading out the main battery reload booster for on Dunkirk, it has a speed boost. Here we have the main battery reload booster, and that is absolutely one of the highlights of this vessel. So, guys, if you liked the video, go ahead, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. See ya.